You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include alcohol, complex relationships, death, romance, flirting, deep bodies of water, and references to sex, food, and death of loved ones. Arc 2, Episode 24. Its Breath Restored. From Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. Say what you want about the gods. They know how to throw a party. All across the city of heaven, we see scenes of bustling festivity. We see acrobats maneuvering massive, intricate lion puppets, dancing side by side with actual stone lions come to life, the sound of their purrs like a valley of rocks grinding together. We see taverns bursting with patrons. We see gods drinking and singing and smoking and eating and dancing, their laughter flowing as freely as the canals and rivers of the city. And for once, it's not just the gods of the Black River who are indulging. Every single deity in every single corner of the city is letting loose. They're venting all of the fear and anxiety and grief of these past 16 days into celebration. Into joy. Bright red lanterns festoon the curling eaves of roofs, shedding a sanguine light over mist-swaddled streets. But the mist here isn't corrupted. It is as it should be, a light sheen of magic over everything. It's not just the gods who are released from the river gourd and liberated from their worst nightmares. The mist, too, was freed. And now Misty gets to play. Gets to be herself again, away from the corrupting influence of that still unseen but deeply felt assassin. Strike Team Nova. Amidst these scenes of celebration, I want to know where we find the three of you, starting with Seir.
Seir is off in a corner somewhere. He is deeply overwhelmed by everybody here. Has probably a couple people tripped on his tail because it's been swinging wildly from anxiety a little bit. And right now he's in some southern quadrant of the main sort of like thoroughfare and is nursing a drink in his hand and leaning against a pillar, just scanning through all the faces of celebrating gods. And he just remembers another party like this aboard a pirate ship with his best friend. But he can't really party right now. He can't do that. And instead, he just scans through the crowd like a guard dog, looking for any sign of suspicion, any sign of an assassin, a hunter hiding amidst the celebration. And as he just nurses it, he just mumbles to himself as he takes a little sip. You would have really liked this one, huh, Bussy?
Seir, as you lean against this pillar, drink your drink, survey the crowd, on high alert, not letting yourself fully celebrate and indulge, keeping your senses sharp because you know of the danger that is to come, you sense familiar movement to your left, and as the crowd thins again and a troupe of lion dancers pass through the street, you see, to your deep annoyance, Cove. Also leaning against a pillar, also sipping from a drink, also surveying the crowd with sharp eyes. And I think the two of you see each other at the same time. You like kind of lock eyes. And she looks annoyed that you're doing the same thing that she's doing.
Seir looks over at Cove and there's a thought crosses his mind of not saying anything, but that feels worse. So instead, he just retorts at her. Cove, I wonder why all the mythical beasts has suddenly stopped calling.
Oh yeah? Is it because you killed them all, you freak?
No, I released them from the mist that trapped them. You know, doing my job.
Oh, and that'll be the first time that happened.
Look, I am here on duty, and you should
Yes, so am
also be on duty. Well,
I
this
am.
area doesn't need two pair of eyes, now does it?
Yeah, so why don't you go check on the northern perimeter, because I've got the south locked down.
No, you go and take the northern quadrant
No,
and
you
deal with
go
it
take
there.
the northern quadrant.
No, you do.
Deal. You go there. I'm not going. I'm staying here.
And Seir just like downs his drink and puts it at the bottom of the
She does the
pillar.
exact same thing. She like downs it as well.
He chucks it down. He chucks his drink onto the end of the pillar and just says, "Fine, but you better keep your eyes down here locked, because I'm not failing this mission on your account."
I've never failed a mission, for your information, unlike you. So why don't you go slink off to the northern perimeter? Maybe you'll finally be good for something there.
And Seir like looks at Cove up and down and thinks about how good it would feel to rip another one into her, but stops. Remember your fucking mission, Cove. Don't get distracted. And storms off.
You remember yours? Yeah, got the last word. And I think as you try not to argue with Cove and you slink off toward the northern perimeter, you realize that your shadow, Seir, has slipped away from you now. And we find your shadow approaching the Time Mage. So where are you when Yinghe finds you, Lumièra?
I think Lumièra was in the midst of celebrating. She's probably somewhere near Zhiling and dancing, more than likely, just trying to have a good time until I feel them.
Okay, let's say we find you in like a tavern, right? Where there's like a central area that's been cleared out, and there are instrumentalists and a singer and a drummer, most importantly, right? Playing music that's shaking the walls as people are in the middle, just like doing some sort of like folk group dance, right? And maybe if you've been indulging or imbibing, perhaps your cheeks are flushed from the drink, right? There's a lot of merrymaking here, right? A lot of merits are flowing, drink is flowing, good conversation, good food. You're in the middle of dancing. And Zhiling is here too. She's surrounded by people who want to get on her dance card. It's been a little difficult to get close to her, but this entire night, you and Zhiling have kind of been playing a little bit like you've been orbiting each other, like not yet, because you want to like spend the perfect moment together and not like do it too early or do it too late. And it's amidst this orbit, in between numbers, in between songs, where you're kind of catching your breath a little, that you feel instead of see or hear her first, Yinghe's presence. It's always kind of like a pressure drop behind you and a coldness, a shadow. And Yinghe rises out of a pool of darkness by your feet and says, "Hi, Lumièra."
Do you have to continuously just make your presence known?
Oh,
Just sneak up on people.
sorry, should I knock next time?
And Lumièra just kind of pinches the bridge of her nose and takes a deep breath. Can I help you, Yinghe?
Yes, actually, I wanted to say something, ask something. And as they speak, the next number starts up again, and the two of you are still on the dance floor. So if you're not dancing, you're gonna start getting like bumped into each other. So you can either do something about that or sit down.
Lumièra will absolutely turn to go off the dance floor.
Okay, yeah. he follows you without a second thought, and you can't even imagine dancing or moving their body in a way that isn't ominous. So you go off to a corner, and a nice private corner where you can have a talk. And Yinghe says, I actually wanted to talk to you about Seir. It's just, he's not doing well, and he won't really open up or talk to me, but I think he'll maybe talk to you. No, I know he'll talk to you if you just reached out to him. So, do you think you could do that, maybe?
Seir has never spoken. Ever. As long as I have known them. With all due respect, Yinghe, you cannot tell me about someone that I have known all of my life. He will speak when he is ready. And I'm not prying.
Oh.
Is that what you want?
No. No, that was not necessarily what I wanted, but I think it was maybe what I needed to hear. Because you're right. You do know Seir much better, much longer than I know Seir. And maybe it isn't really my place to speak here. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do necessarily. I'm talking to you because I would like to get to know you. Because I respect you a lot, Lumièra. And I respect what you're capable of. I respect all of you a lot. I still remember when you all showed up in my temple, and I would like to be a part of something like that someday. Because I've never been. I would like to help you, maybe your team, the way that you've helped me, to repay that debt. But I am sorry for overstepping. I only did it because I care.
Lumièra kind of softens at that a bit. She's no longer standing defensively, but her shoulders slump a little bit. And she gazes at Yinghe, looking them up and down and back up again until she's looking them directly in their eyes. I know that you care. I see that. And when she says that, her eyes sharpen a bit in Yinghe's direction. So, here's what'll happen. You are more than welcome to help us, to come along for the ride. But I don't ever want to hear you say that you are repaying a debt to us. Okay? We're not repaying a debt. We did what we do. That is our job. We help you, you help us.
Yinghe blinks at you, Lumièra. Their silver eyes, for a moment, surprised, and then they sparkle like stars in a night sky. They look at you with wide eyes and they say, "Cool. You're so cool, Lumièra."
Thank you. Are you okay?
Yes. Okay, bye. And Yinghe turns and starts to step away, but then remembers something. They turn around and they knock on the wooden table between the two of you.
You don't have to announce your departure. This is not a date.
Okay. Understood. Bye, everyone. And they say that at the room as a whole, but no one hears them because their voice is so small. And then they turn around and they start to like sink back into the shadows. But before they do, they nearly collide with Langhui, who is also in this tavern, who's stepping away from a private moment that they were having with Zhiling while you were talking with Yinghe, Longhui, and Druling were talking in another corner, and the Heavenly Liaison's white snake hisses in alarm and annoyance at Yinghe, who is like apologizing profusely, and then kind of like sinks into the shadows. And Longhui looks at this pool of darkness before they exit the tavern, and we follow Longhui as they leave and lay their eyes on the person they actually want to see, Xainan Esh. Xainan, what are you doing as the Heavenly Liaison falls into step beside you?
I think Xainan has stepped away from Phoenix and they've all dispersed. And he took a private moment before coming to a table full of food. And as Longhui finds him, he has a rice ball in one hand and a bun in the other, and he's definitely taken a bite out of both. And he's just chewing.
Xainan Esh.
Longhui.
No, finish your food. I can wait.
I'll be eating a while.
Okay, fine, then I'll make this snappy. I wanted to say thank you. And the words fall out of their mouth a bit begrudgingly, but genuinely.
No thanks needed.
I had a feeling you would say that, which is so irritating of you. Just take the thank you.
I accept, then.
I am no fool. I know that it was only through your help and the help of your team that we gods were able to return to the City of Heaven. So, I give thanks, and I recognize debts where they are due.
The only debt that we have to you is Seir's.
And a heavy
that was
one.
a dream.
Well, we can debate the legal boundaries of owed merits in dreamscapes versus reality at a later date. But stay. And the snake has been kind of wiggling forward toward the bun in your hand, like the tongue flicking in and out this entire time. But then kind of coils back a little disappointed at Longhui's command. Do you feed the snake?
I think Xainan, because he's like, this is not my snake. I don't know if this is a divine snake. I don't know. He's not going to offer his hand to a snake he doesn't know.
Yeah. True. Very smart. You are good with animals. Yeah. Longhui breathes in. I have to admit, I'm very annoyed at the courtier of four symbols for getting us into this mess in the first place. But they are a younger god. They made a foolish mistake. Let their fears get the better of them. We've all been there.
They made a bold choice to fix something that, let's be honest, is important. They didn't know who to trust.
Well, I know the feeling of that. Everywhere I look, I see celebration and celebration. The Emperor is confident in her power, and I don't doubt it. But... And you see a darkness and a passion light up in Longhui's eyes, a passion you've not seen really before, as the next words come out of their mouth. I hate that this traitor made me feel so powerless. I will win the seat of virtue, so I will have the power to punish this traitor to my exact demands. And even if I am not chosen to be virtue, I'll do it
I can see the merit of revenge. Just be careful. Your last words shouldn't be threatening someone else. They should be your own.
Speaking of last words, and their eyes flick above your head. Slow, lazy interest back down at you. It's interesting. My gift, my curse, enables me to see the last words of every person around me but myself. When I peer into the still surface of a mirror, I see nothing but listlessness. I've not felt this kind of passion, drive for anything in a very long time, perhaps forever. So maybe I do have the traitor to thank for that.
Protecting those you care about is a very worthy cause.
Would you like to know your last words, Xainan Esh?
I don't know anyone's meant to.
Fair enough. You carry yourself differently now, Xainan. Less skittish, more sure. That's a nice flower you have in the brim of your hat.
I've just learned where the ghosts actually are. And where they belong.
Last we spoke, you told me that you feel the weight of an entire world lost. I may not know that weight, but I am a god. I am immortal. I have lost everyone in the mortal world that I have ever cared about. I have outlived my parents, my little brother, all of my nieces, all of my nephews. I, too, am surrounded by ghosts, but I would much rather be haunted by them than to forget them.
I'm learning that.
Last words are important, Xainan Esh, but don't forget the weight of the ones we wield now. Oh, I think he's waiting for you. And Longhui looks in the direction of that hawthorn tree from that secluded garden you were in earlier, and you see Naeem standing in the shadows.
Thank you. Long way. I wish you whatever fate might bring when the Emperor makes their choice.
And I wish you peace. In time. Oh,
Never enough.
I think as you start to go off, Longhui says, almost as an afterthought, and as an amendment to our dreaming gamble, my bed is extremely soft.
Xainan just smiles as he walks away.
And Longhui's eyes follow you, and then land on Naeem as you approach Naeem, and Longhui's gaze flickers above Naeem's head and sees their last words. Longhui's eyes widen slightly in surprise, and then looks at Xainan. Back at the last words, back at Naeem. And Naeem, as you approach Xainan, doesn't quite smile, but they do push off of the trunk of the hawthorn tree, and there is something close to softness on their face. They've cleaned up after the talk. They no longer look battered and thrown from like the peak of a mountain, cast down upon many jagged, biting rocks. Their robes are patched, they're no longer visibly bruised, but there is still a sense of tiredness, but satisfaction and relief in how they hold themselves. And they wait for you to say the first word.
Xainan has eaten more of the food as he's walked over, and is like sucking the food. He's clearly he's tired, he's hungry. It's been a long time for him too. And he walks over to Naeem, and the relief keeps on bringing a smile to his face. This is everything that he's been working towards, and there's a freedom. Even though he felt so overwrought by the grief he experienced to bring all of this about, there's a freedom to having learned to speak to it. And he's suddenly not afraid of the conversation that he clearly needs to have with Naeem, that probably, maybe not at a party, but he offers this smile. It's a little shy, but there is an eagerness as he walks over, looks Naeem up and down. You look better.
So do you.
Well, it's not every day that we get to see each other out.
No, very rarely, if ever, on mission. What was the last time? 7 years ago?
Too long.
Maybe just long enough.
I don't know, I like seeing you in your element.
I just mean, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Some things never leave, no matter how far away you get.
No. That's the tricky thing about those things, isn't it?
I'm sorry how we left things. We don't have to do that right now. But I think I ought to start by just saying I was wrong.
You know me, Xainan. You know, I care less about the apology than I do about growth, change. And for what it's worth, Xainan, you look different from the last time I saw you. Obviously, your outfit is altered, given the magical limitations of this plane. But you know what I mean.
I forgot to listen to my own advice to anyone. I remembered here because of them. I don't think I was ready to come on this mission.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Didn't matter. Fate willed it. And as with all things, I trust in her will.
As do I. Xainan, I've only ever wanted, in these recent months, really two things from you. One was for you to look after Lumièra. And based on what I saw today, based on how you've been handling all the conflicts here in the City of Heaven, seems you have been. In your own way, a little bit.
She's incredible.
Isn't she? She's something else.
She certainly is that.
Hells, she could run her own department one day.
Easily. Good luck stopping her. You were right. About her and I. And we're both as stubborn as the other. We're both as
Go ahead,
stubborn
finish
as
your
the
thought.
other. And it takes the most precious thing to get there. Time.
But it's worth it, Xainan. It took a long time for her to start opening up to me as well when she was on Phoenix. And even then, I don't think I got to know her half as well as you know her now. Even though you've only had her half the time. She sees something in you, Xainan. The same thing I do. Because we're both smart. We're both intuitive. The other thing, Xainan, that I've only ever wanted from you was for you to just face something, anything, behind that closed door of yours, out in the open. And maybe I'm seeing things, but I have a feeling I'm not. There's something about the way you hold yourself now in this place that makes me think maybe you've started to do that.
I thought, well, the last mission, when I learned how to touch the ghosts, how to see them, how to speak with them. Felt like drowning. Like being buried. I didn't see it for what it actually was. Wouldn't you give anything to talk to your loved ones again?
I would. Anything.
It was never a curse. Being buried under all that, I just needed to learn to listen. Which, you know, that is not my best skill.
No, it is not. You are many things, but perhaps chief amongst them, a stubborn son of a bitch. But they say it with a smile. Come, Xainan. Look up. Look up with me.
Xainan pulls his hat back and looks up steals a quick glance to Naeem and sees the stars in Naeem's eyes.
And Naeem looks up at the stars as well. Their dark skin lit up in a glow of celestial light. And they sense your eyes on them. They look back at you, silhouetted by starlight. And they say with a soft look on their face that you've not seen in many months, perhaps even in years, "You've grown more in 2 Mayday missions than 2 decades, Zai."
Sometimes you gotta walk out in the world.
Yes, that we do. And they start to breathe in, and you think one thing's gonna come out of their mouth: the softness, the sweetness, the sense of, not that the rift has been mended, but you're getting closer. The distance is closing. And then Naeem says, "Something's off, isn't it?"
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mission. You know.
I know you too well. It's not settled yet. There's something in your teeth, Xainan. What is it?
I have a theory, and I don't like it.
And Naeem turns fully to look at you. "Tell me what I have to do."
I have a suspicion I have since the first fight we had in the mist. I've been asking myself over and over again, who would benefit from this? First I thought from all the gods going missing, but then I remembered the virtue. And now to know that it was an assassination on top of all of that. There's one person you haven't met yet that, well, the Forge Master has been evasive, elusive, and I keep on thinking about what I wouldn't do for the person that I care most about. Luhua was a spark made by their hammer.
I see. Let's go talk to her.
Just a quick conversation.
Yes, just a quick discussion. No accusations. We're just there to gather information, ascertain her true motives. It'll be fast.
Also,
See
the
what we can
forge is
find.
beautiful.
Oh? And Naeem quirks an eyebrow when you say that. Good. All the more cover to our story, in case anyone notices we're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we've snuck off plenty of times together before. It's not like anyone will bother us.
That's true.
Lead the way.
It's quite a walk. You've been warned. Xainan starts walking.
As you do, Naeem, pauses for a few seconds as he take a few steps forward in front of them, and they say, "Well, good thing I have magic and a flight spell." And they start to, twist their fingers and summon a prayer paper. And on the twist of that paper, we flip to another scene. We find Lumièra. Lumièra. Several hours have passed. We are well in the thick of the night, well in the depths of celebration, of drinking, of merrymaking. Where do we find you?
I think Lumièra is now sitting outside of the tavern. I think she's hot and tipsy and sweaty and flustered. So her hair is like pulled up on top of her head. I think her cloak is not zipped all the way up, but it's like sitting to where it's at her shoulders, just like getting some type of breathing air going in through it. And is nursing another drink, kind of just like lulling back, almost teetering on possibly falling asleep, but also just kind of vibing.
Yeah, you're kind of fanning yourself, vibing, nursing a drink. You just need a second. You need a breather from the everything, and then also the conversation with Yinghe and all the drinking. You're kind of tipsy. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff happening constantly. There's a lot of stimulation.
Too much. Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming. And then you sense a familiar presence step outside of the tavern at last and step beside you. And Drooling, the gentlewoman scholar, says down to you, "Lumièra, have I caught you at a good time?" I was just about to go to sleep, actually.
Sleep?
Maybe. What? Did you have other plans?
I had something similarly relaxing in mind if you wanted to use a quick breather.
Please. And I think she kind of stumbles her way up just a little bit.
Drooling, helps lift you. She's not gonna let you just kind of, clamber to your full height alone. She raises you with strong and firm arms.
You gotta stop doing that.
Oh? Why is that? Afraid you might like it too much?
Shut up.
Would you like me to carry you to the next destination? Because I don't mind.
Lumièra kind of looks up and pouts. Uppies?
All right, brace yourself. And she scoops you up in kind of in a princess carry in her arms.
I can get used to this.
So could I.
And I'll start something you can't finish.
She chuckles and gives you a sly grin. And Drooling carries you, Lumièra, away from the thick of the celebration, using kind of side streets, side paths, curving over stone bridges, all the way down to a private bathhouse in the Black River. And here in this quarter of the City of Heaven, people are still celebrating, but you're reaching a secluded neighborhood where the noise of laughter and music and fireworks is muted. You can still see the bright flowery blooms of firecrackers in the sky, but the sound is less deafening and startling and more just kind of a peaceful, distant white noise. And Drooling carries you all the way to this beautiful private back room that has this obsidian, pure black stream that flows into a pure black pond, completely undisturbed. And it's open to the sky. It's open to all four elements. And the rocks that surround this bath are glazed with a thin film of ice from this mid-autumn chill. And the stars above your heads are glimmering and infinite and reflected perfectly in this pond. And you see steam, mist, rising from the black surface of this bath. It's the perfect mixture of heat and cold, of water and fire. And she gently deposits you onto your feet.
And Lumièra kind of looks up and takes in her surroundings for a second before she looks back at the pool and back at Drooling. And then back at the pool again, here?
Drooling chuckles at your expression and says, "It's a wonderful way to relax, rejuvenate the muscles." And she starts to disrobe. She takes off her outer robe and starts lifting up the tunic underneath.
Lumièra chuckles at that and is like, Well, it's not nothing you haven't seen already. And starts undressing herself. But she does kind of like, when she gets to her boot, she kind of sits there and looks up at the sky, seeing the brightness of the fireworks and taking in how quiet it is. You know, I love to succeed in a project or a mission, but I think this is the first time I've actually wanted the city quiet.
It's nice to be away from everything, even for a moment, isn't it? I love studying. I love poring through tomes of learning everything I could possibly get my hands on, but sometimes I need a break. You know, rest is crucial to absorbing information.
That's what I keep hearing.
Julian kind of quirks an eyebrow at that, and by this point she approaches the pond and starts slipping into the water and lets out a kind of contented noise, letting it hiss out from her nostrils as she settles all the way down onto an unseen ridge and splays her arms across the icy rocks. And as you start to approach her and those considerable back muscles, you notice that Zhiling is putting herself by water, right? Which is the element that she is the weakest to, as the vermilion bird, as a phoenix embodied in divine flesh. This isn't just an invitation for you to relax and kind of take a load off, though of course that's a crucial part of this. It's a gesture of trust.
Wait. You are... Are you okay in this?
I'll be fine. You know, this bath is quite warm. The rocks are lovely and chill. It'll take a lot more water than this to put me in any danger, but I want you here. It's a nice place for us to have a conversation.
Lumièra kind of blushes at that a little bit. And pushes a couple of curls that have fell out of its ponytail back up before she just finally shakes her head and pulls her hair out. So her curls just fall around her shoulders again. And instead of stepping into the lake, Lumièra dives.
Yeah. And Lumièra, as you dive into this very warm, very hot water, right, and you plunge in, you feel relaxation, magical relaxation, and also physical relaxation sink across your body, kind of unclench the tension from your nervous system, from your muscles, as you fall deeper and deeper in a gentle and peaceful way toward the bottom of this pond. And as you do, in this moment, Lumièra, you too are vulnerable. You too are open. In a way you've not been in a very long time. And as you plunge beneath the surface, you feel a memory. That's right, Lumièra. A memory. Tugging against your hair in a gentle way, against your scalp in a way that feels really comforting. And you realize what it is. You can feel her fingers braiding your hair. One of your mother's. And you can hear a song, muffled by the water, the words lost to you, but the tune of it, the melody of it, seeping deep into the darkest recesses of your soul. One of your mothers is humming you a song and weaving a spell of protection into your braids. A memory of Tungal.
Lumièra leans back into that feeling. One she knows is so special to her, but can't put all of the pieces together. But it is so warm and so calming, so nurturing. She feels it directly to her bones, like that nurture was implanted deep in the very core of who she is. She holds it there until she doesn't feel it anymore.
And Lumièra, when you surface for air, the memory doesn't fade. It doesn't run away from you. It's kept there in a very special part of you. And the cold air now is really nice and relieving against your skin. And as air rushes back into your lungs, you realize what it is that has prevented you from accessing Tungal again in the sacred grove. The pieces click together. You have to be open, Lumièra. You have to be vulnerable. That's the only way you'll be able to remember more.
I think she realizes that underwater.
Mm.
So when she surfaces, she's crying and she didn't even realize it. And she just wipes her face and gasps. That's it. That's it.
Lumièra? Is everything okay? Is the water too hot?
No. And Lumièra wipes her face, pulls whatever remnants of her curls that are stuck to her forehead back and over her shoulder before she swims over to Zherling. Kind of settles herself underneath one of her shoulders that's splayed out across the rocks. Everything is fine. Just the way it should be.
Okay. Good. I am fire embodied, but I have to admit, I see why Langhui is drawn to the water. There's something calming about it. Meditative.
Freeing.
Yes. Freeing. Like after I sink myself into these waves and I rise, I can be whoever I want to be.
When I look deep into the waters, I see a place I long forgot. Home. And I think I just realized the key right now.
Of course you did. Not in a library, not in the archives, but here. Isn't that the way it goes? Our moments of eureka come when we least expect them, but when we most need them.
I think you're right. And Lumièra will grin and then kind of scooch over to sit on Zherling's lap, kind of straddling her a bit and wrapping her arms around her neck. Yeah.
Zherling rests her hands on your waist and pulls you in intimately, looks up into your eyes, and says, I was born from the ashes of a phoenix, slain by an arrogant and cruel god. The very first thing I did when I emerged into this world was kill him. The second thing I did was burn his name from the annals of history as retribution for daring to lay his hands on a holy beast. This was during the devouring, of course. I was a different god then. Angrier, colder. It was how I survived. It was how I rose from ash.
Lumièra sits in that before a smirk reaches the corners of her mouth and turns into a smile. If there's anything I think I've ever wanted to do, was hurt anything, anyone that was conducive and complicit in taking everything from me. So I get it. I'd do the same.
It's part of why I like you so much, Lumièra. We share
It's
the
not my
same
dazzling
flame.
personality.
Well, that too, of course, among other aspects of,
Don't
you.
patronize me. I was joking.
I would never. I would never. But yes, that's what I'm starting to realize, actually, Lumièra. I've wanted to become virtue since... God, since I could want. Since the position was announced. Since the devouring ended and the Emperor opened up the roll. I thought it would bring me closer to the Emperor. Closer to Longdu, being virtue. But now I'm starting to realize that it doesn't matter if I'm virtue or not. As long as I can protect the people I care about. As long as I can protect Longdu.
That's all
I'd
that
be happy.
matters.
Exactly. And you helped me realize that, Lumièra. Talking with you, being with you, seeing the cause you fight for, seeing what you care about, has helped me realize that.
Lumièra smiles. Her fingers are playing in the hairs at the nape of her neck. I am glad I could be such an inspiration. But don't be fooled. I've learned a lot from you too.
Oh yeah? Well, consider me flattered.
Yeah, you should be.
Oh,
And she
yes,
grins.
of course. Drilling laughs, leans forward, and kisses you. A soft kiss, a chaste kiss. And when she pulls back, there's something in her right hand. A gift for you. And she offers to you an intricate and elegant brush pen, carved from red sandalwood, the same rare material that the Emperor's throne is made out of. And the brush itself is fletched from the fur of a dire wolf. And a golden engraving up the length of that pen resembles the rainbow feather of a phoenix. And the tip of the brush is black with ink. And Drooling says, by way of explanation, "This is an ink pen I crafted myself. Originally, I was going to make an inkstone to go with it, but something you did inspired me. The ashes of the letter you burned in my study are imbued into the ink that darkens the tip of this pen. So as long as you still carry love for your sing, this pen will always hold ink."
Lumièra's utterly shocked. I think her eyes glaze over so fast. She can't even stop her eyes from leaking tears. I don't know what. Thank you.
Of course. For you, anything. Just know this. And she folds the pen into your fingers. Fire can burn away empires, but it can never burn away love. Something new will always grow from ash.
Lumièra just kisses her.
And Drooling kisses you back. And the two of you spend a very long time in that warm pool. And when it's about time to start to rejoin your strike team, because dawn is starting to maybe approach soon, Drooling pulls herself away from you, the two of you covered in water and sweat in each other's embrace. She looks down at you as she starts to stand. It's about time I start guiding you back to your strike team, yes?
Yeah.
Hold on, I should retcon. She doesn't know you're part of a strike team. Let me say something else. Just soft retcon for the podcast. It's about time I lead you back to your fellow cultivators, yes?
Yeah. And Lumièra gets dressed. It's taking her a little bit of a while because she's still kind of,
Mm-hmm.
But she stops and looks up at Zhirling again. Wicked smile across her face. How did you know I loved a good pen?
Call it my gentleman's intuition.
Yeah. But she does place the pen in her spell book, clips it to the side of it, and sits at her hip, right next to her pocket watch.
I love that. And Drooling starts shrugging on her robe again, pulling it on, taking her time, right? Because you both know what this is. It's a goodbye. So she's taking her time, relishing it. And as both of you put on your clothes again and kind of dust off the water, she smiles at you and says, I'll look for you in the water, Star Traveler.
That is where you will find me. I look forward to it, and I'll hold you to that.
I'm counting on you to do that. And you can find me in the flame, in the places where passion meets knowledge.
Till then.
Until then. And she offers an arm for you, and then pauses and says, or would you rather I carry you back again?
No. I mean, the gentlewomanly scholar, you have a name to live up to, don't you?
I sure do.
And Lumièra will wrap her arm through Zhirling's.
And the two of you exit this private bathhouse, leaving footprints in your wake. Footprints that take a long time to fade. Seir. It's been some time. You've patrolled the northern perimeter ad nauseum at this point.
Mhm.
Where do we find you at this hour?
I think in between the patrolling, he's if Yinghe is around, he would have spoken to Yinghe and caught up. And then a memory flashes across his mind in that he didn't tell Xainan where he was. Xainan does not know that he is indeed in the northern quadrant now, so he looks for him.
Yeah, so you start heading south because you've kind of scoured the northern perimeter pretty thoroughly at this point in search of Xainan. And as you do, you actually are approached by Luhua. And you see they're kind of like surrounded by a bunch of admirers, people who like really enjoy their presence, but they see you amidst the crowd and they kind of like do like a let's put a pin in this kind of motion to their admirers, and they kind of like trot up to you. And they're kind of decorated in a bunch of flowers that people have just put on them to wish them luck, because a lot of people are rooting for them to become virtue. So they're kind of decked out in all kinds of celebratory garlands. Seir, hi!
Hey, Luhua, hi. I didn't, and he gestures over to like probably a crowd of disappointed people. I didn't mean to take you away.
Oh, no,
am I
it's fine, it's
interrupting?
fine. No, not at all, not at all. Honestly, it kind of feels like the flower garlands are a little unending at this point, so not an interruption whatsoever. In fact, quite a welcome reprieve, but please don't tell them I said that.
Your secret's safe with me.
I just wanted to catch up with you and thank you, obviously, for all the help that you've rendered the symbols, the Emperor, the entire city of heaven, and also just to check in on you. See how you're doing.
No thanks necessary. Friends don't keep scores, so don't worry about that. And as Luhua could probably notice that as he's speaking to Luhua, he keeps kind of like panning his gaze around looking for Xainan, and then says, I'm alright. Have you seen Xainan around?
Xainan? No, I haven't, actually. But I'm sure he's around here somewhere in the crowd. There's a lot to do. Celebration night.
I know it's the fact that there's a lot to do that leaves me concerned, actually. I just want to make sure everyone's okay.
You're acting a little different from the last few times I've seen you. It's I don't know, it feels realer?
Well, I haven't really been myself for a while.
Yeah? What do you mean?
And I think there's a moment where his bright blue eyes catch on Luhua's, and he stares at Ta for a while. You're just like her.
Just like who?
Sorry,
No, you can tell me. I'm honestly kind of dying to know.
You're a lot like my sister.
You have a sister?
I do. I suppose I didn't tell you. She's my twin.
What, and a twin? There's two of you? Is she here?
No. She passed 2 months ago.
My condolences.
They're appreciated. You just remind me so much of her. They're both so bright, and she too would be covered in garlands. They'd be hounded by hordes of admirers, and he gestures to the group that's still probably hovering not too far away from us. It's uncanny, and he trails off, staring at how Luha looks at him. There's a familiarity. Maybe he's just looking for one in that look.
Oh. Well, I'm very honored that I could remind you of someone that you love so much. And I have to admit, I am the youngest symbol, and in many respects I'm quite a young god. I've not known what it's like to lose someone I care about yet. But my mentor, the Forge Master, knows it. She calls it the bitter sting of grief. She doesn't really like talking about it. But from what I can tell, if you can see your sister in me, maybe that means you can see your sister in other places too. Other people. And I hope that brings you comfort. I hope you see her in the flowers I wear. I hope you see her in the spark of the White Forge. I hope you see her in the friends you came with, Xainan and Lumièra. And I hope that brings you comfort.
I see her everywhere. I carry her with me. Like a tattoo. Like a scar. The most precious scar I have. As his tips of his fingers reach towards the corners of his birthmark, his tattoo. And before, maybe it would bring me more pain, more bitterness, but I see now that she would have wanted different from me. Maybe. The pain doesn't go, it's still there, but maybe there's a different way I can take this journey.
That's really beautiful, Seir. Maybe you should be a poet.
No. I'm no good with words. All
I don't
that
think that's
stuff you
true.
saw, all the stuff you saw before with me. Yeah, no, that's not really me. That was
Well,
me.
you're much better with words now.
Thanks. Thank you. It's been a while since I've felt like myself. That's all.
Well, thank you. And Luhua clasps your hands in theirs, suddenly, looking deeply into your eyes. Thank you for sharing who you are with me. It makes me feel like maybe I could be brave enough to be who I really am, even if I'm not entirely sure what that is yet.
I was just going to ask, what does that look like? Even
And they
you
let
feel
go
so...
of your hands. Yeah, in like a dramatic kind of fashion. With like a big, deep sigh, looking out. But it's not in like a despairing way, but rather a hopeful and an excited way. You know, I don't know. And I think that's the kind of beautiful part of all of this. For the longest time, I just did what the Forge Master told me to do. You know, because what else was I supposed to do? I love the Forge Master. They're like my parent. And they've always steered me in the right direction. They've guided me into a candidate for virtue, into one of the 4 symbols. But seeing you like this, and all of the help that you and your team have rendered the city, being heroes, being not even gods, but cultivators, and doing all of everything you did, it makes me think that maybe the Forge Master would be proud of me if I chose my own path. Even though, again, I really don't know what that path is. Maybe I want to be a hero like you, or maybe I'll just continue to be a blacksmith, but I'll make stuff other than weapons too. Maybe I'll make shields, or pottery.
Oh, very, very wise young woman once told me that maybe that the journey's part of the fun, too. Not all the answers is like solving a big mystery. And you can be that mystery that you unravel yourself.
Oh,
I know she'd love that.
that sounds exciting, actually. That sounds really, really exciting. And you know what? Even though I've got all these garlands and all these people wishing me success, I kind of have a gut feeling I'm not going to get picked for virtue. And I think,
Why'd you
maybe
say
a couple
that?
weeks ago, I don't know, just a gut feeling, Maybe it's a gut feeling, or maybe it's just me deep down not wanting to be virtue. I don't know, am I allowed to say that? A few weeks ago, I would have been devastated at the prospect, but now I think I'm okay with it. And you know what? Either way, I'm excited to give the Emperor that sword I've been working on that I showed you and Xainan, because
Yeah.
I think it would be a really great way to close this chapter of my life. The Forge Master's Apprentice, one of the 4 symbols, and then the next chapter of my life titled, I don't know yet, but I'm figuring it out. The journey to figuring it out. How about that? That's a nice chapter title.
Is that your way of telling me that you're about to give up blacksmithing and go into authorship?
Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I'll just poke around, see what's up. Maybe I'll talk to Zhiling and see if she can give me any pointers about my life path. Ooh, or Chunxing. Though I know exactly what Chunxing would say. They would say that I definitely don't have the aptitude or the focus to be an administrator. But other than that, I don't know. World's my oyster. So I've decided I don't want to use this old thing. And they gesture toward the sword, which is strapped to their back. It's wrapped in silk. They're just kind of like carrying it this whole time. You hadn't noticed it because it was covered in flowers, but now they point it out and like a few petals fall. All I know is I don't want this thing to be a bribe anymore. So I'm not going to give it to the Emperor before they name their virtue. I'm going to give it to them after.
What if you get chosen, though?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it'll be my thank you gift then? And we'll get off on really good terms?
I think that's a good idea. I think...
Hey!
Hmm?
Go ahead, finish your thought.
I don't think a spirit like yours could ever be dimmed by anything. And you should listen to that. And I'm sure the Forge Master will give you their utmost support.
Aw, thanks, Seir. That's so sweet of you. And they kind of like punch you in the shoulder, but it kind of hurt. Like they're really strong and they were unaware of it and they kind of sock you. Whoops, sorry. But hey, you know what? Speaking of thank you presents, I want to make you something. Yeah, I want to make you something.
You already helped me with patience and violence. It's all right. You don't. Again, friends don't keep score. You don't have to thank me for it.
No, it's not about keeping score. I want to give you something because, you know, you told me everything about your sister. And you know what? After the coronation, why don't you come by the forge? Because I want to make something for you that you can remember her by.
That would be really nice. Do you think my fellow cultivators could come too?
Yeah, heck yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun. Invite them all. We'll throw a party. I'll have to let the Forge Master know though, because they're very strict about the maximum capacity of the Forge not exceeding 4 people, you know, for like,
of course,
you know, safety code violations and whatnot. But I'm sure she can make an exception.
That would be really nice. I don't even know how to thank you for that.
Friends don't keep score.
It's really nice to talk about her. Thank you.
Of course. I'd be honored to learn more about her, and I'm sure you'll have plenty of opportunities to talk about her with your friends too.
Yeah. Yeah, we will. Yeah, we must. You're right.
Good. Well, I should be going. I'm seeing that my little, my group of very wonderful followers and admirers, they're looking a little antsy, so I'm gonna go right now, but I'll see you later. I'll see you at the coronation, okay?
I'll see you there, and be careful with them. They look like they're about to mob you in a second.
Oh, don't worry. I've been fending them off since I can remember being a god. All right, bye. See you later. Bye. And Luqua waves goodbye to you and is immediately swarmed by gods seeking their attention. And while that happens, go ahead.
And there Ta goes.
They're whisked away into the crowd, and you're able to get back to kind of scanning the perimeter, looking for Xainan. And instead of Xainan, you see Lumièra in the crowd, kind of arm in arm with Zhiling coming up from the Black River. Both of them look immaculate, like their skin has just undergone like a spa treatment. And just a little tired, just a little spent. You also see the other 4 symbols, kind of just all around the space with various folk either diverting attention away from them, in the case of Langhui, or glomming them and trying to get in, like, the last bits of schmoozing before a virtue is announced. You see Ash lighting fireworks, a very big firework, actually. You see Amaru chatting with Cove at the other end of this courtyard, and you even see the Emperor many steps up, past like a landing deep inside the Hall of Peerless Destiny, watching everything from upon her sandalwood throne. But there are 3 people that you do not see, Seir. You do not see Naeem. You do not see Xainan. And you do not see Shuijiang, the Forge Master.
Seir's unsettled even more. Now 3 veterans, 3 senior people of authority are all gone. And I think immediately... he's gonna I fucking hate that I have to do this. He's gonna go up to Cove.
Okay, you go up to Cove where Cove is chatting with Amaru. As soon as you arrive, Cove and Amaru stop talking. Amaru raises his eyebrows, has less of a bone to pick with you, but is friends with Cove. So kind of like closes ranks around Cove, squares off, looks at you. Cove crosses her arms. What do you want?
Hendrix. Cove. Have you seen Naeem or Xainan anywhere?
Oh, Naeem and Xainan are missing? Wow, I wonder what they could be doing.
You don't think... Seriously? Right now?
Oh my god, hands of fate, Seir. I'm not gonna go off and find them. Are you kidding me? They're probably hate fucking in a temple somewhere. You wanna interrupt that, huh?
Seir just scoffs and like places a hand around fistfuls of his hair in frustration. Fuck. Fine. No, you're... Wish you'd tell us at least, so I didn't have to go searching. Everything fine here?
Yeah, everything's fine. Go back to your northern perimeter.
Soon. And he hovers his gaze over at Lumièra. If Xainan's not here, then Nova needs to consolidate.
Mm-hmm.
So he hops forward towards where Lumièra is.
As you start to walk away from Amaru and Cove kind of just like mutters under her breath. Yeah, definitely hate fucking. And speaking of Xainan and Naeem, we cut to the two of you panting, sweating a little exerted. And then finally you crest the top of the White Forge and you land in front of the furnace, where we see Naeem's sutra papers kind of fluttering offward. They definitely helped a lot. They had a spell of flight that carried the two of you here all the way in a third of the time that it would have taken on foot, but it still took a lot of physical exertion to kind of like glide through the air and then land up here, and then the two of you deposit yourselves on the rock. Oh, I think you're muted, Kai.
I am. All right. I'm very tired of mountains.
Naeem gives you a quizzical look. I thought you liked the great outdoors.
I do. I haven't climbed mountains in a while. Ever.
Don't tell me it's getting to you.
I was a knife for 2 months. Let's just not worry about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that right now. Well, it looks like our suspicions were right on the money. The Forge Master is home. And sure enough, you and Naeem see the Forge Master, maybe several dozen feet in front of you, inside the forge itself. She is sweating away, drenched in it actually, and pounding. You hear the noise before you see her. Clang, 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 pounding away on an anvil. She is beating the blade of a white-hot great axe into shape with an equally large hammer. And up here, completely abandoned, right? Most of the people are at the base of this mountain, merchant stalls, fireworks going off, but up here, no one's working. People are celebrating. She's the only one doing labor, so it's abandoned save for her and her work. And it's dimly lit, only the sparks flying off the hammer and the blade of the axe kind of light up her face, and the dull glow from the diamond furnace, and the paltry light streaming down from mist-swaddled stars. Otherwise, there's no illumination. And something just about the scene feels off to you.
Xainan takes point He steps forward, looking at what was a forge that he beheld in wonder when he was here, well, in the City of Mist, but still, it was beautiful then, it's beautiful now, but there's a sour feeling not from the last time that he was here. In fact, the memory of hearing all of the things that Seir said to him kind of pushes itself uninvited to the forefront of his mind, but even that feels warm, kind. There's something he doesn't like that we're alone up here. And I think he just kind of puts himself in front of Naeem as they walk, just an instinct. As he walks forward, friendly, not, hunterly, but he walks to the entrance of the forge and raises a hand. Forge Master.
Clang, clang, clang. You see her huge exposed back muscles rippling with exertion and effort. You see those white tufted tiger-like ears on top of her head not swivel in the direction of your voice at all. Either she hasn't heard you or she's just completely ignoring you. She continues to work.
He looks back at Naeem.
Clang, clang, clang. Naeem looks at you, clears his throat, steps forward, gives you a look like, I can handle myself. Like, I appreciate the gesture, Xainan, but I can handle myself. And raises their voice. Forge Master. Clang! Clang! No response. I am Naeem Zaran. I am a cultivator from Yalan. This is my companion, Xainan. I believe the two of you may have met, if only briefly. I am here from the cradle to partake in the celebration of the naming of virtue tonight. And my companion and I were just wondering if we could ask you a few questions. Clang, clang, clang. Naeem lets out like a little breath and almost looks like he's about to say something again, but then the Forge Master responds. Clang. The coronation. Clang. The virtue. Clang. What a load of bullshit. Clang.
Xainan steps forward, knowingly getting into the forge. I thought you would be interested to hear Luha's down there. Quite celebrated. And I just, you seemed absent in all that.
And why wouldn't I? I can't wait for all the lies to evaporate like morning mist in the face of the rising sun of truth. And Xainan, as she says that, her words feel familiar. The intention behind them is exactly the same as the intentions you sensed in Xiao Cheng's nightmare. The intentions of the assassin.
Xainan can feel his heart suddenly thundering in his ears. And he steps very close to Naeem and puts his hand out, trying to push both of them back.
Naeem can instantly sense that something is wrong. Doesn't understand the intention the same way because wasn't there to see the nightmare, but reads your body language instantly. Steps back a little, but you can feel the magic starting to tense around Naeem. Not to strike, not to accuse yet, but just getting ready in case.
And like the magic, Xainan is pulling his fingers tight, ready to move quickly. We're curious what you were working on so intently while everyone else was celebrating.
I'm a blacksmith. I work on the same thing every day. Weapons. Always have. Always will. Even down there in the cradle, when I was a mortal, I made weapons. Swords, spears, axes, hammers, you name it, I've made it. But you know what? The one thing that's remained true, no matter the customer, no matter the forge, no matter the era.
No.
It's that a weapon's only purpose is to kill. Clang!
Xainan is going to try. Ooh. And I think if there's a way to quietly summon the Oracle.
You're gonna risk it? Because you can risk it if you want. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a tempt fate. Literally.
You know what? No. He's gonna try something else.
Okay.
Xainan thinks, I'm gonna summon the Oracle, and then remembers that every single time the Oracle pops up, they go, oh, hello. And that's just not, that's not subtle. And so Xainan closes his eyes. And he goes deep inside of that deep font, that stabbing blade, that beautiful ocean of grief. And through the ghosts that sit in his soul, he would like to try and send a message to Nova.
So you're okay. You're trying to reach Nova in a way you've never been able to do before without the Oracle, but by going through the ghosts.
Yes.
Okay, that's gonna be a channel your power move. What tags are you invoking?
Okay, so we're going to Connie, I would like to burn
Bird.
messages from the beyond, a tag I specifically took to communicate through the ghost realm.
You're not taking any risks here. This is the first time we've burnt a power tag on purpose. So when you burn a power tag to boost a move you're making, treat the outcome as a 10+. Okay. So on a 10+, the effect is exactly as intended. What is the message you would try to send to Strike Team Nova?
With all of the spark and fury and the absolute terror that Xainan feels in the presence of gods that he is just a mortal in front of, he sends to Lumièra and Seir, White Forge, now.
Okay. I'm gonna resolve that in a second. As you've been digging down into the pit of your soul, into that well of grief, the Forge Master has not stopped talking. She's continued to speak even as her hammer falls down and clangs against the steel.
We've forgotten that a weapon's only purpose is to kill. We've forgotten the truth of who we are. It's not a bad thing. Lying about it, now that's the bad thing. Pretending that we're better than the violence we crave, now that's true denial.
Every weapon,
But everything.
not
Go
every
ahead.
weapon has to be used as a hunter. You can just use it to protect.
You know how many times I've heard that? Infinite times, infinite excuses from infinite voices. But a weapon's only purpose is to kill. Even when you're defending someone, you're killing someone else. You're hurting them, blood for blood. But again, that's not a bad thing. pretending that it's anything but that. Now that's the true farce. But everything is about to change. The masks are cracking. The doors are opening, whether people want them to or not. This mist is lifting. We will be forced to face our truth. And the ones who survive will be the ones who realize that at the core of every mortal, every god, every demon, is the selfish instinct to survive and consume.
Lumièra, you have returned to the courtyard, arm in arm with Drooling, and you're feeling flushed, you're feeling relaxed, you're feeling relieved, you're feeling good. And when you step back into this courtyard, you see Seir stepping away from Cove and Amaru, scanning the crowd. Seeing you, I think the two of you lock eyes across this moment as you notice each other. Xainan's message hasn't hit yet. I'll let you know when it does.
Lumièra will turn to Zherling. Her hand was on the small of her back. That's my friend. Give me a second, okay?
Of course. Take all the time you need.
And Lumièra will gently, tap the back of her back for a second as she walks over to Seir. Why do you have that look on your face?
Seir meets you as you close the distance between the both of us. And Seir, looking like a fucking hurricane, looks at you and says, I can't find the old man. Apparently he's with Xainan, and to quote Cove, they might be hate fucking in a temple.
Well, I don't
I
want to
know.
break that up. I don't want to get in the middle of that.
Well, neither do I, but there's only a potential assassination about to happen tonight.
Fair enough. You do it. I've seen enough naked people for today.
The one?
Yeah.
He chuckles when he says that.
And Lumièra's like, yeah, the one. The one.
It was quite a shock. And I think as he's looking in the direction where he assumes the temple that Cove gestured to was, he steps forward for a moment, but then slinks back. You doing all right? I know Hendrix is here, and Phoenix is here.
Phoenix isn't as much of a problem anymore as Hendrix is, but I've dealt with worse.
Good. Will you let me know if they try anything?
Neither of them are ridiculous enough to try anything.
Good. Let it stay that way.
Remind them.
Lumièra, as you're speaking with Seir, you see kind of in that same shadow of the hawthorn tree, you see Yinghe kind of leaning there and looking at you with those bright silver eyes, looking between you and Seir. And the memory of the conversation you had with you at the tavern kind of flashes past your eyes, and then they see you see them, and they quickly slink back into the shadows.
I just don't know why the old man can't just tell us. Why does he have to hide everything behind a fucking door and just scamper off like that?
I'm sorry, do you want us all to announce when we're going off to fuck someone? So you're better in the know?
No, I just...
Because if that's the case, that's where I just came from. So, does that make you feel better?
Seir's frozen for a moment. Oh.
I didn't mean it like that, Seir. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad that you're all right.
I think Yinghe likes you.
What? What does Yinghe have to do with any of this?
She's worried about you. We're all worried. How are
And
you?
that's when the two of you hear Xainan's voice ringing in your heads, interrupting what could have been a moment, could have been a conversation. But even as the first few words of Xainan's ashes, a message starts trickling into your consciousness, another sound interrupts it as well, kind of mixing in with Xainan's warning. The assembly drum. It starts to pound. Xainan, the assembly drum has begun to sound. It echoes across the city of heaven like peals of thunder beating against the skin of the heavens, and finally, at last, Xuejiang stops working on the axe. She lowers her hammer as dawn starts to crest the horizon and turns to look at you and at Naeem. And she says, casually, as though remarking on the weather,
You didn't think I was going to be the one to kill the Emperor myself. Now did you?
and we're gonna end the session there. So thank you everyone so much for tuning into this episode of the Chaos Protocol. What a break into the final act. I've been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong. My pronouns are they, he, and she. Find me across the internet at by Connie Chong, BYCONNIECHANG. I'm gonna pass things along to Sam.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Star. You can follow me all across the internet at Lust for Life X. I use she, they, and the occasional they pronouns. And tonight I have had the lovely pleasure of being Lumièra yet again. Holy hell. I don't even know what else to say after that outside of an affectionate fuck you, Connie. Kai?
Help. Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as a Stellum Landress or right here freaking out. Hey, I've had a great time playing Mr. Xainan Esh, who is not off hate fucking in a temple, but is in fact absolutely fucking terrified. Ha 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 ha. Hey, Val, how you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt that I just set you on. And tonight the distinct pleasure of playing Seir. Actually, Seir uses he, they pronouns. Connie, take us home while we process all of that, I guess.
It's me, Connie, taking you home while you process all of that, you guess. I really wanted Xainan to try to summon the Oracle because it would have been so fucking hilarious in the middle of that tense conversation. But I guess you'll hear more about it during our Vision Debrief if you're a patron. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back next week. That's going to be April 20th. Oh my god, 420? Oh my god, 420?
I'm already on a mountain. I'm high on a mountain.
Yes, everyone should join Xainan up high on that high mountain. I'm tired. Love you all so much. We'll see you on 4:20 8 p.m. US Eastern Time right here on Twitch at Transplanar RPG and YouTube at Transplanar RPG or my TikTok at ByConnieChong, BYCONNICHANG. And we love you all so much. Join the Discord to keep the conversation going, especially if you're new here. And join our Patreon to support the art we make. That is the #1 way to support us and help us keep this show going. Shbijo, Bijo.